A field of psyllium does not look like the source of one of the world's most useful natural fibers. The plants are small. Their leaves form low rosettes close to the ground, while thin flowering stalks rise above them, carrying tiny spikes packed with seeds. Nothing about the crop suggests that its most valuable product will eventually end up in fiber supplements, food products, and pharmaceutical formulations around the world. Yet that value is concentrated in something almost invisible, the outer coating of its seed. This is Plantago ovata, commonly known as Psyllium, ispaghula, or Isabgol. It is an annual herb cultivated primarily for its seeds, and, especially, the husk surrounding those seeds. That husk contains mucilage, a plant polysaccharide that absorbs water and forms a gel. And here is the first detail that changes how you see the crop. The husk is not manufactured from some complicated part of the plant. It is mechanically separated from the seed itself. The farmer grows an entire crop for a seed that weighs almost nothing, and the processor then removes a thin outer layer from that seed to obtain the product people recognize as psyllium husk. The husk can represent roughly a quarter to around a third of seed weight, depending on the source, variety, and processing method. That is what makes this crop so unusual. The valuable material is not hidden deep underground like a root crop. It is not hanging from a large fruit. It is wrapped around a tiny seed, and when that husk meets water, its behavior changes dramatically. It swells, thickens the surrounding liquid, and forms a soft gel because of its high water-binding capacity. This simple physical property explains much of psyllium's importance in food and fiber applications. So the real story of psyllium is not simply how a plant grows. It is how a very small seed became the center of an entire agricultural and processing chain. Psyllium prefers conditions very different from those of many thirsty field crops. Commercial production is strongly associated with dry, cool-season agriculture. In India, Plantago ovata is commonly grown as a rabi crop, particularly in Gujarat and Rajasthan, where the crop can develop under relatively dry conditions. Research also describes psyllium as a potentially useful crop for semi-arid agricultural areas. Light, well-drained soils, particularly sandy loams, are favorable. Psyllium does not respond well to standing water, and the crop's small seeds need careful establishment because they can easily be displaced by excessive irrigation. The plant begins quietly. Seeds germinate, leaves develop close to the soil, and flowering shoots eventually emerge from the base. Small flowers form along compact spikes. After pollination, the tiny capsules develop the seeds that farmers are actually growing the crop to obtain. Psyllium is often described as a fiber crop, but technically the plant is producing a seed first. The fiber-rich husk is a processing product derived from that seed coat. That distinction matters because it explains why harvesting at the wrong moment can damage the final product. Psyllium is generally a relatively short-duration crop, commonly reaching maturity in roughly 110 to 130 days, although timing varies with location and growing conditions. As maturity approaches, the foliage becomes yellowish and the seed spikes turn brown. The farmer is watching the crop carefully because the mature seeds can shed from the spikes. Dry weather becomes especially important at this stage. Rain or excessive moisture around harvest can increase seed losses and interfere with drying and handling. Agricultural guidance recommends harvesting when the dew has dried and the crop itself is dry. A crop whose finished product is famous for absorbing water becomes particularly vulnerable to moisture at harvest. Harvesting psyllium is not about digging up a root. It begins above the soil. When the leaves have yellowed and the spikes have become brownish, farmers harvest the plants, taking care not to disturb the mature spikes unnecessarily. In traditional field practice, harvesting is carried out in dry conditions, often after the morning dew has disappeared. The harvested plants are then dried and taken through threshing. The goal is simple: separate the tiny seeds from the dried plant material. But the seed is still not the final product. The seed must undergo another transformation. During processing, mechanical milling removes the outer seed coat, the mucilaginous layer that we call psyllium husk. The husk is then separated from the remaining seed material, cleaned, graded, and handled carefully, because the finished husk readily interacts with moisture. This is where the plant's real value becomes visible. A seed that looked almost insignificant in the field has become a light, pale, fibrous material capable of holding substantial amounts of water. The same property that makes psyllium useful is also the reason it should be handled properly when consumed. It needs adequate liquid to swell. Psyllium is widely used as a dietary fiber, and research has examined its effects on bowel regularity and other metabolic outcomes. But evidence for different health effects is not equally strong, and psyllium should be discussed as a fiber ingredient rather than a miracle treatment. When using a commercial psyllium product as directed for dietary fiber, mix it with sufficient liquid and consume it promptly, rather than allowing a concentrated mixture to sit and thicken excessively. Anyone taking medications or managing a medical condition should follow the product directions and seek professional advice when appropriate. That practical caution is part of understanding the plant. The value of psyllium comes from its physical behavior, not from exaggerated claims. Historical reviews describe psyllium cultivation and use across regions including India and Pakistan, and one account suggests that cultivation in undivided India became established around the Lahore and Multan region before spreading elsewhere. Today, India remains the dominant producer and exporter of psyllium seed and husk. That makes this crop more than a modern health store ingredient. It belongs to a longer agricultural tradition in which farmers learned to work with a small, dryland-adapted plant and extract value from a part of it that is barely visible to the eye. Modern processing simply carries that principle much further. The harvested seed moves through cleaning and milling. The husk becomes an ingredient for dietary fiber products and food formulations. Its ability to absorb water and form a gel also gives it useful technological properties in food processing. The farmer does not harvest something large. There is no giant fruit to sell. There is no heavy root. The crop's value comes from precision, producing a clean, mature seed and preserving the quality of the delicate husk surrounding it. That is why harvest timing, dry weather, careful threshing, and proper processing matter so much. Psyllium is a reminder that agricultural value is not always proportional to size. Sometimes the most valuable part of a plant is the part you would barely notice. A field of small green rosettes becomes thousands of tiny seeds. Those seeds become separated husks, and those husks become one of nature's most practical water-holding fibers. From a plant that almost disappears into the landscape, farmers have learned to harvest something remarkably useful.